Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome in today's session, and today's session is about the interface. In the last tutorial or in the last class, we discussed about the packages and we discussed a lot of the examples related to the package. So, in today we have to discuss the another strong concept of the object-oriented programming, that is known as the interfaces. During the inheritance of the classes, we discussed that the inheritance in the inheritance, usually we cannot achieve the multiple inheritance normally in Java. Okay, we discussed this feature in the physical class. Now, so today we are going to discuss the interface, and in interface we discuss the different other features, and as well as the feature of the multiple, which we people were not able to achieve normally in the Java. So inheritance is now the what is inheritance? Inheritance is used to achieve the multiple interface is used to achieve the multiple inheritance in Java, which means the feature of the multiple inheritance we could not achieve normally in the Java, but by using the interfaces we can perform the multiple inheritance in Java. And interface is also used to achieve the 100% abstraction. What does it mean? In abstraction we discussed that the abstract is a class which is used to achieve the partial abstraction. Abstraction, in abstraction classes we people were able to achieve the partial abstraction, which means not complete abstraction, but by using the interface we can achieve fully abstraction. Okay, so interface is also used to achieve the fully abstraction, while using the abstract classes we people were only able to achieve the partial abstraction. Okay, so interface, now what is interface? Interface, it looks like a class, but it is not a class. What does I mean over here? Remember, in the last classes we discussed the constructor is look like the method, but it is not a method. Yes, we had some differences in constructor and method. Same is over here. Interface, it looks like a class, but it is not a class. Mean its structure is similar to a class, but its behavior and the functionality is not like a class. How we see? Let's see further. So an interface can have methods and variables just like a class, but the method declared in interface are by default abstract. Only method signature, nobody. What does it mean? Like in a normal class, we people have the attributes and the behavior, which means the class, it has variables as well as a methods. Okay, while the interface, it does have the variables and as well as the abstract, but abstract method, but the method is incomplete, which means it has only the signature, it does not have body. What does we mean no body? We have discussed in the abstract classes. So the variables which we declared in an interface are public, static, and final by default. Yes, we need to keep this concept in mind that usually when we declare any variable in a class, so it is by default public. Okay, the class or the local variable of the class, right? If we do not have inheritance, if we have only single class, so all the variable which we declare within the class are called the instance variable, and the variable which we declare within the method are called local variable, we discussed. Okay, but the variable which we declare in interface, they are by default public, static and final. So they have three attributes with them, one known as the public modifier, second static, and third final. We discuss one by one. Aisha is asking the question, sir please repeat कर दें, क्लियर नहीं हुआ. आयशा, what should I repeat? Could you please specify? Aisha, can you specify what should I declare? Okay, I'm going to recall it again. Interface is used to achieve fully abstraction, while with the help of the abstract, we people were on abstract class, we people were only able to achieve the partial abstraction. Partial abstraction mean not 100%, okay, less than 100%. And second feature, for that we use the interface. Interface is used to achieve the multiple inheritance which we cannot achieve normally in the Java, right? So multiple type of the inheritance can be achieved by using the interface. After that we said that the interface, it looks like a class but it is not a class. I gave you the example that a constructor is look like a method but it is not a method. In the same way we say interface, it looks like a class but it is not a class, which means that a class has the variables as well as the methods, means attributes and the behavior, while the interface, it also has the variable and but the methods are abstract methods, mean it has incomplete method. Okay, so we all know very well abstract method or the incomplete method, when we want to implement we do need a class. Is it okay, Aisha? Now I hope it's clear. So then I said whenever we declare then we said that whenever we declare an interface, the variables in an interface, all variables are public, static and final by default. Over here in a normal class, when we people were declaring the variable, those variable they normally called the instance variable. And when we people were declaring the variables in the methods, those methods they called the local variables, while in an interface when we declare the variable, by default they called public, static and final. We see later on what does static and the final mean. Okay, so Java programming language does not allow you to extend more than one class. Yes, in the previous classes or in the previous lectures, when we people were extending a class, we were only able to extend one class at a time. For example, a child class may extend only one parent class. For example, if we have student is a child class and its parent class is human, so we people were using the syntax to make the inheritance, and that was a child class, the student class, student extends class human. So student was the child class while the human was the parent class, only one. For example, if we have two parents classes, one is a child, one is a human, that's a parent, then the student is a child of the parent. And let's say we have oop student, another class, this is the child of the student. So if we write class oop extends child comma human, that was not possible. That was not possible because simply I'm sorry, simply a class only was able to extend one class at a time, which means a child class could have only one parent, okay, while when we are talking about the interface, a class may have more than one parents. Now how that, let's see. However, you can implement more than one interfaces in a class. Yes, interface means incomplete, and all abstract classes are implemented in the normal class. So a class can implement more than one interfaces. When a class can implement more than one interfaces, it giving us the concept that a child is having two parents, right? So next is the syntax. Now let's see how we can write the syntax of the interface. Interfaces are declared by specifying a keyword interface, like abstract class was declared by a keyword abstract. Okay, same over here, interface is declared by a keyword which is known as interface keyword. Now, here we can see the example of this syntax. Let's say we have an interface whose name is my interface. So my interface is the name of the interface, which is variable, and the interface is the keyword. So we are declaring interface with the name my interface using the interface keyword. So interface, my interface, then its body starts over here, and now look, this interface having methods, and all methods are incompleted or the abstracted method. So over here, public void method 1 is the abstract method or incomplete method, while public void body method 2 is again the abstract or the incomplete method. Here a question may come in your mind that when we people were discussing about the abstract method in the abstract class, we people were using a keyword abstract with the method. But sir, you are asking that the method 1 and method 2 in this example are the abstract, but we are not using abstract keyword. Why? Because previously I have already told you people, all methods which lie in the interface are by default abstract. Either you write abstract keyword or not, doesn't matter, they are giving us the sense of the abstract method. Is it okay? So by default they are abstract. Now the let's see the difference between the abstract class and the interface class. Over here class,